Welcome, Dr. James Beckett, Sports Card Insights. Time again for the Football Card Hall of Fame ballot. You need to get your ballot in. Go to it right away. A very worthy effort. Thanks my sponsors, Topps Panini, Upper Deck, Heritage Auctions, Hugs and Scott Auctions, Burbank Sports Cards, Mike Stadium Sports Cards, ComC.com, and Beckett Media, Beckett Grading, Beckett Authentications. Go and vote, and here it is.
Sports Cards fans, Ray from Philly here. Days left of the 2026 fourth annual Football Card Hall of Fame. And I'm joined by the chairman of the Football Card Hall of Fame, Sconnie Tradition, Bart of Bart's Cards. We're starting off with the 1888 N162 Goodwin Champions Harry Beecher card.
I did not vote for that, even though it's very worthy. I'm glad it's on the ballot, but I think there was a find of those. East Coast, I think, when I used to go to those shows. But to make it less worthy of a card, this is not an NFL Football Card Hall of Fame. It's a Football Card Hall of Fame, and I think that's the right way to go. So I did not vote for Harry Beecher, but he may eventually get in.
You got the 1894 Mayo Cup plug, John Dunlop.
That's the first football set. Worthy, but I didn't have it in my top 12. I've actually got 12, and I'm only going to vote for 10.
Yeah, me and Scott didn't have super high expectations for Beecher and the cut plug here, but we like to take the opportunity, hopefully, to educate along the way, to getting that voting populace out to see some of the broad range of football cards are out there. We want to make sure we had cards like this on the ballot. Beecher did better than we thought last year as well, so we'll see how it goes this year.
I love that attitude, because if they do roll up their sleeves and dig into it, they'll see that some of these older cards they don't see very often are very worthy. Okay, Clark Hinkle. My dad had one national Chicle card. It was Clark Hinkle. Now, my dad grew up in the Chicago area at that time. Hinkle was across the border and was a great player. And actually, I did vote for him 6th on my ballot, because you probably already have Nagurski and Rockney.
Yes.
And
yes.
This would maybe be the third best card. He's underrated, like Bart was saying. When you research it, you think, hey, that guy was all pro every year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Do you think there's any other 1935 Chicle cards that deserve to be on the ballot? Other than
I actually don't think Hinkle's going to make it, but to me, he'd be the third most noteworthy. But the other two are so far above. There's a drop off there, even though performance-wise, he's very worthy. But back in the 70s, when those didn't seem as ancient, they were looking for the Nagurski mainly. And the Rockney was not as tough, but it was still a great card. So big drop off. Kenny Washington, same thing. I don't think he's going to get in, but they could do a movie about him. And it'd be a cool movie. Got a great story, great athlete, great football player. Again, you're creating awareness, and maybe he'll get in eventually, but a little bit too obscure probably. Did not vote for him, but keep him on the ballot. Sid Luckman, Rich Klein, my Columbia friend, patron saint of Columbia football, which is fallen on hard times, I think. Sid Luckman, I did not vote for. He probably would have been in my second 10. I'll tell you what, the one I have doesn't look anything as nice as the one you're showing there. Those are really tough to find in great shape. So did not vote for Luckman, but keep him on the ballot. Bobby Layne, I actually had him 9th on my ballot. I always want to be a straight shooter, but there's nothing wrong with being a little bit of a homer. I think everybody else is doing that. So I thought Bobby Layne went to the high school that's just a couple miles away. My kids went there, but he was a great player. High school, college.
Sure.
I lived in Pittsburgh when he was traded to the Steelers in the mid-50s there, and he was going to be a big hope for them, and he couldn't pull it all the way out, but he was a great quarterback. So I have him 9th on my ballot.
And it's kind of got a soft spot for these 48 weeks.
Oh, they're great.
They're
beautiful
on there. Both Big Boy Van Buren here as well as the blonde ball.
I love this card.
I would vote for Van Buren just because of the big boy. Now, he is not the patron saint of the big boy hamburgers that were all across the Midwest back in the day, but he was fierce. Yeah, I didn't vote for him, but he's good. Crazy Legs, when I was starting to watch football, he was at the end of his career. And so I never really saw the Crazy Legs action that much. I think that was more in the early 50s, but he may eventually get in, but he's not on my ballot.
It's a cool looking card though, with his leg.
It's beautiful.
Artistic, but they had to get a photo and replicate it. Paterno is actually one of the 4 cards on your ballot I have never owned. I had chances to own it, and it wasn't anything political. He was a great coach for a very long time. Was a good quarterback too, but institution at Penn State until he wasn't, and not to make him wait necessarily, but the passage of time may be good for him. That's a great coach. Probably had chances to buy it and didn't for whatever reason, bought something else.
Gotcha.
Great card. Doak, same thing. He went to the same high school as Bobby Layne, and he also went to SMU. So I have him 10th on my ballot.
Okay.
I don't know that.
That's a tough one for us because there's a popularity that me and Sconnie don't necessarily see on this one. But we like to put it on there for the set builders because this is number one in that set. So it gets some of that notoriety, but we always scratch our heads on the popularity of this one.
I guess he was a quadruple threat. He could kick, he could pass, he could run, and he could catch. He was a great athlete.
It's also the non-rookie, so this is a 50 to leapfrog. 48 there.
Again, the 50 Bowmans, the artistic renderings are terrific. Let's see. Van Brocklin.
The colors on this are awesome.
The colors are great, but I did not vote for him. Nothing against him, but the reason is I'm picking the next guy, obviously, Tom Landry. Tom Landry lived a block away from where I'm sitting right now.
Wow.
And my wife was good friends with his daughter, and I got to know him a little bit toward the end of his career. A wonderful man, passed away now, 29 years with the Cowboys, and steady hand and offensive and defensive brilliance as a coach. And he was not fast, really pretty slow, but he had great instincts and defensive back. Good player too.
Great card.
So I have that in, and that's my number 2 in my ranking. M. Tennell, I remember him late in his career, ball hawk, cool name and everything. I don't know any other Emlins. But the defensive back guys, I don't know that he's going to make it, but he's certainly worthy. Those guys, they got lots of interceptions back in the day.
Yeah.
Gifford, you didn't already put the smalls in, did you?
No.
Because it looks like a small you have there on the screen. That's funny. I wonder if they're exactly the same, but the proportionality in terms of the rectangularity, the width and the height of the card. It's the same artwork, but it may have different border treatments. I've never thought about that till just now.
Yeah, me neither.
That one is 20% bigger than the other or something like that. But that was a close call. And again, probably a quintuple threat because he could do everything Doak Walker he could do, plus announcer.
Plus his announcing was great.
His announcer was very calming with all the craziness that was going on in the booth in those days.
On Monday Night Football.
And he was a non-sports kind of a media person as well.
Right.
I think he could get in eventually. And I had Jim Lansford at number 11, so he's not going to make my ballot. But in the early 70s and the mid-70s, when I was hitting it really hard and completing all these sets, you know what? That's the 4th card. I never had that one either. And it was on every want list, it seemed. If you had that, you could have traded it for almost any other football card in the 50s.
Right.
So sentimentally, I'd like to see it get in. I think the hobby, in almost every case, they've moved away from difficult to obtain base cards, common cards.
Right.
But it's a condition rarity as well. If you don't find it and well-centered. Blanda, that's a cool-looking card. Vote for it because it's amazing to think that more than 20 years later, he was still playing. And not just kicking, because he'd come in as the relief quarterback. So real hats off to that. He's an inspiration for every guy who wants to have longevity.
Who was he the backup for? LaMonica or
probably a Raiders, yeah.
Okay.
Did not vote for him. Didn't vote for Horning either. I think he's a distant third to Starr and Unitas, but still a great card.
Right.
Night Train should get in for his nickname, but I did not vote for him. If he just was Dick Layne without a nickname, but he had amazing interception totals, game changing. Okay, Ditka. And let's see if I can keep topping myself. Yeah, I'm going to say, I don't think he could pass, but I saw him play in person in college. And he was untackleable at Pitt as a Pitt Panther because we lived in the suburbs of Pittsburgh in those days. That's why I was a Pirate fan, a little bit of a Steeler fan, but Pitt Panthers went to the game, and I remember who they were playing, but they couldn't tackle him. He wasn't even running hard down the field. It just was like a cartoon. But again, he had success as a coach. He had success in the media for announcing as well as being a media personality. He transcended pop culture. And then the last thing, I think 62 Topps, its condition rarity, it is a really interesting set. And the short prints and all that. So I have that as my number 4 card.
Okay.
And that's ahead of Ernie Davis and Fran Tarkenton. Both those guys are very worthy too. In the old days, Tarkenton was valued and esteemed more than Ditka. I think now maybe it's flipped. And Ernie Davis was more. But Ditka just kept on doing outrageous stuff and being larger than life.
Right.
So no for Tarkenton and no for Ernie Davis, even though I hope they eventually get in. Like I say, I love the 62 Topps football set. 63 Fleer, Lance Allworth. I don't think it's going to get in, but I loved watching him play because I'm not a huge guy. The various leagues I played in, flag football, stuff like that. I'm not saying I was Bambi. He had a grace and he had good hands. He ran good routes. He had a lot of breakaway plays, but I think he was like regular size, and that's cool. So sentimentally, I'd like to see him get in, but I don't think he will. Same with Len Dawson. My experience was, I think I picked up a 63 Fleer set. Otherwise, if you try to piece it together one at a time, they're tough. Now, on the other hand, I usually found them in really good condition. I just think they were underproduced. And maybe that's because Fleer, that was their last year, and it wasn't doing so great. Lilly, sentimentally, and Nitschke, the Packers were the nemesis of the Cowboys back in those days. And so you couldn't like the Cowboys without hating Nitschke. I no longer hate Ray Nitschke. In fact, somebody got me an 8x10 that was to Jim from Ray Nitschke. And I don't think he said, I'm not so bad or whatever. He put an inscription in there. I got to dig it out one of these days. But sorry, Ray, you're not doing on my wall. Still.
And no for Bob Lilly?
No for Bob Lilly, but sympathetically, I hope he gets in. He was a great
Was he the
player.
first Cowboy ever drafted?
Yeah, number 1 overall. And went to TCU. One of my buddies says that he stole Bob Lilly's girlfriend and married. I had no way to verify that except that I knew the wife. She's passed away now, and the guy has passed away. Not a verifiable story at this point, but he repeated it in public. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. And my buddy would never be confused for Bob Lilly. Never be confused for a football player either. Deacon, I'd love to see him get in. Baseball has the edge on every other sport in the sense of the longevity of the statistics and the articulation of individual statistics. And football, if they just started collecting stats on sacks, Deacon Jones might be the all-time leader.
Yeah.
Because they didn't start until he was already
in like his 5th year, right?
Like that. And he was 15 sacks a year or something. He was just a sack monster.
That was a no for Deacon?
That was a no, yeah.
Okay.
I'm running out of room, guys. Bob Greasy is the consummate, again, makes the people mad, game manager guy. And now he game managed so well, he had an undefeated season. So there's a lot to be said for that. But yeah, I did not vote.
I'm starting to like this card more and more.
I think it's a great looking card.
Yeah.
We tossed this one on. We didn't have high expectations by any means either, but it's a good looking card. And then you
It's
just
a
gotta
good looking card.
spread some love with the different issues and see where the voters go with it.
If you had a haul of almost good enough, you know, you had this inner sanctum of 30 or 40 cards, and then you had another group of cards that almost made it, you'd get some attention. And people say he ought to be in there too. OJ, I was going to talk to you guys about the make 'em wait philosophy. I don't think you're employing for the Card Hall of Fame, but apparently the Football Hall of Fame has a make 'em wait stance. And there's 2 kinds of make 'em waits. One is to make them wait at least a year when they ought to get in immediately. The other is the ultimate insult, not the ultimate, but the almost ultimate insult is we're going to wait until you die. Then the biggest insult is we're going to wait until you die. And this is really mean-spirited, and then we're still not going to put you in.
Wow.
And I'm afraid OJ is in that category, even though he was absolutely a Hall of Fame running back. And I went to the Rose Bowl where he went crazy. So I was out thinking, I got to find ticket stubs, guys. There's somewhere around here.
The Eagles passed on him in the draft.
Oh, my goodness.
They took Leroy Keys instead.
Leroy Keys, I saw him play in person as well. He came down to Purdue, played SMU in 67, and I was there. And he was DB, but also they'd put him at receiver a little bit, and he'd return some kicks, and he was best player on the field. Mean Joe in spite of my friendship with John Newman, not going to make it. But if he were not so great, we would know how good L.C. Greenwood is. And we don't.
True.
Because L.C. Greenwood was playing next to a guy that was just a monster and anchoring, probably having double teams all the time. So Mean Joe, I hope he gets in. I guess I could see Mean Joe and Terry Bradshaw from the 71.
Same set, yeah.
Getting in. Those would be the two best. Largent, I did not vote for him, but I think he could eventually get in at some point.
Is this when they started with the licensing? Because I don't see a logo on his helmet here for the Seahawks.
I didn't think they had distinguishing team marks in 76 either.
Okay.
In the 70s, I think Topps just looked the other way. It just wasn't that big a deal.
Right.
Okay, Tony. He was a great college running back, and he went to the perfect situation with the Cowboys. And that's a good card, but my homerism has limits. Even though he went to the University of Pittsburgh, but that was after I was not there.
A couple of these, especially these last two, the 70s, that's our demographic, I guess, when they vote. So they've always done really strong. And the 7 cards have done really well. So we make sure we select a couple more into the ballot to see how well the next crop of 70s cards do.
I think that's great. The Hall of Fame, who is it for? Is it for the people? Is it for the players? I don't think so. I don't think you're going to have the players commenting that much about who got in and didn't get in. But if there's a virtual football card Hall of Fame you guys are working so hard on, I hope collectors will dig in and say, hey, why is this card worthy? Is the player worthy? Is the card, the set, all that stuff?